everyone. Thank you for joining us for the OpenXR XRI and MRTK, the future of cross-platform MR interactions in Unity. Before we start, I just have a few quick things to go over. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We ask that you be kind and respectful to everyone, including our speakers. We want the reactors to be a place that everybody feels welcome. Please ask your questions using the live YouTube chat. You're welcome to add those into the chat at any time. In the chat, we'll also be sharing some links to the Reactor Meetup page and monthly newsletter if you're interested in checking out what other sessions we have coming up. If you haven't already, please check in using our event check-in at aka.ms/reactor check-in with eventID 14855. I will share that in the chat as well. We are recording today's session and it will be added to our Reactor YouTube page in 24 to 48 hours. And finally, I will be sharing a link to our Reactor survey towards the end of the session. If you have a few moments, we greatly appreciate your feedback. And I am now going to pass it over to Phil.
Thanks, Dion. How's it going? So excited to talk to everyone this morning or evening or afternoon, wherever you are. I'm here in San Francisco. So I'm Phil. I'm leading product management for our core XR developer platform here at Unity, and yeah, excited to be working with Microsoft. Microsoft has been a leader in the spatial computing space for a number of years now, and we're excited to be supporting them and working together to help you design interactions for your applications. So I'm going to be talking about OpenXR, XRI, and MRTK, and then kind of talking about how they work together and how they can be used to solve your problems. So who we are. So with me, I've got Dorothy, Chris, and Roxy. So Chris is the senior software engineer. He has heavily worked on XRI. He'll be helping with Q&A, and Roxy is our lead UX designer for XR, helping us kind of across a range of things, and has done a ton of work to help us on XRI, OpenXR, and helping to make MRTK work well in the Unity ecosystem. So for information, we've got links here, and if you have email for trial information, there's our website, there's our email address, and that'll also be at the end of the talk as well. So what we're going to cover today, I'm going to start by providing an overview, just kind of a big picture overview of the Unity XR Creator Platform. We're going to then get into detail and focus on OpenXR, XRI, and MRTK, and that particular set of tools to help you build interactions. I'll cover quickly some platform updates, and then we'll kind of zoom back out and talk about why it matters and how it helps you solve real business problems. As you know, the M word, metaverse, is a big topic of discussion today. So we're kind of at that beginning. Microsoft has already been there for a number of years, and excited to kind of really help you all kind of really harness the promise of this next era. So overview of Unity's XR Creator Platform. So what we aim to do, we as you may know, Unity supports a range of customers doing a variety of different things. We cover games, we cover entertainment experiences, and we cover various industrial applications as well. We've got our Reflect tool for architecture visualization and site management, and then we've got our product configurator tools as well via Forma. So a variety of things that are used that can be used in industry, and a variety of Hololens customers as well are using Unity to deliver great experiences in all of these areas. So at Unity, we believe the world is a better place with more creators in it. And the way our team goes about this is we're focusing on three areas at this point in time as we're going forward. So We're at a place where we've got a great set of tools, but now it's time for us to unify that user experience to make it easier for content creators to deploy to any form factor. So seamlessly create XR content once and deploy it to any form factor. Second, we want to help you create for the medium while in the medium. So that's expanding beyond sort of C# scripting, which is what you do if you're going to jump into the Unity editor. And then last but not least, deploy to every major platform. And that includes Windows, MR, and HoloLens, of course. Build once, deploy everywhere. Unity Era Foundation and XRI and MRTK all work together to help deliver on this promise. So as part of the Unity platform, we've got our developer suite and we've got a provider framework. As you can see here. At the low level, bottom of the stack, we integrate with every major platform to provide low-level subsystems to reach every device platform. Top level, we've got a set of workflows to make it easier to work, so that developers, you can focus on your content, and the higher level aspect of how your experience looks and feels and works for your end users. So OpenXR, XR Interaction Toolkit, and MRTK. Let's start by what problems are we solving? So if you've been in this space for a little while now, there are increasing variety of form factors out there. We've got headsets. Those headsets now have hand tracking. We've got 6DoF controllers, VR headsets that are closed. We've got tablet and desktop form factors that we still want to serve, as everyone knows. So most of us have phones in our pockets. We don't yet carry around AR glasses everywhere. So we've got content. This explosion of devices and form factors are bringing spatial computing power to a wider variety of situations, but they create challenges for you as developers. So OpenXR, XRI, and MRTK help solve this problem. They help you create once and be able to deploy to a variety of these different form factors. So OpenXR, XRI, MRTK, part of a vertical slice of the stack that particularly focuses on input and interaction. The tools and frameworks provided by Unity provide abstractions for developers to build their applications on. So MRTK is able to focus on what differentiates the Microsoft platform and gives you more power when you're using a HoloLens device that has particular capabilities, and by leveraging the stack that Unity provides, the MRTK and the team that creates it are able to really focus on the things that help the HoloLens shine and various Windows mixed reality devices shine to help you solve problems for your business customers. So OpenXR, just for folks, to give you, this is, so OpenXR is an open source standard by the Kronos Group. And its aim here is to simplify AR VR development, starting with input. So with these various different device types, they have different methods for positional tracking. They have different controllers, and this is gonna change over time. We don't know today everything that's going to be possible in the future. Near term, we've got hand tracking. Hand tracking is going to have different capabilities, and so this is a standard that attempts to resolve these differences and provide one interface so that as an application developer, you don't have to worry about the different devices that might come out in the future. You target the OpenXR interface, and these devices that come out will conform to that particular standard. So OpenXR with Unity. So our XR provider framework allows developers to support any conformant OpenXR runtime, so that Microsoft's mixed reality platform is the first to fully move to OpenXR. So this is really exciting. We're kind of making a ton of progress to achieve that kind of consistency that'll make it much easier and better to support this range of devices going forward. So as of Unity 2020 LTS, Microsoft's mixed reality platforms are supported by the OpenXR plugin here in Unity. So when you go into Unity and you configure your project, you're going to open up XR plugin management, and then that's where you'll have your various various platforms that you'll integrate into your project to support. And we've got the OpenXR checkbox and Windows Mixed Reality feature group that you can check off to ensure that you can build to that platform. There is additional setup that's required for HoloLens, which I won't get into in this talk, but that is this is kind of the workflow for getting started. So XR interactions covers slightly higher up on the stack. So once we've got that low level input coming off of the platform and the devices, we then have to configure, okay, how do we interact with our application? How do we set up controllers? How do we set up hands? So XRI provides a high level interaction system for creating interactive XR experiences. This is a framework for building applications and libraries, which makes 3D and UI interactions available from input. And this layers over the Unity input system, which abstracts away some input devices and models individual actions. So you target actions as opposed to having to know in advance what a particular controller that might not have been developed yet or released yet might actually do. So you set up a teleport action, you set up a move action, select action, and then this framework will take care of the mapping to a particular device. So next I'm going to show a video. This is a little bit of a highlight reel of what you can do, what XRI is designed for, and these samples are going to be made available over the next several months. So we're improving the samples and templates that are available in Unity to give you a better starting point. There are many different types of interactions that are common in developing mixed reality application. We're going to have 3D UI. We're going to have menu type UI. We're going to want to grab objects. They'll have actions. They'll tend to have physics, these sorts of things. And then some of these objects will have capabilities that we activate, with a trigger or something like that. So, yeah. So, a range of things that XRI provides. Obviously, applicable to games, and that's sort of where things get visually interesting. But all these are highly applicable to industrial applications as well, where you have levers and knobs and things that you're going to want to train potential users on in a factory environment, or in a product visualization environment. You might have an end user that you're trying to educate on your product. All right. So, Microsoft Mixed Reality Toolkit. So this is a Microsoft-driven project which provides components and features for cross-platform XR and Unity. It provides UX building blocks for spatial interactivity. So this gives you a really quick way to get started and build UI when you're targeting devices like the HoloLens 2. And it leverages Microsoft's strengths so that the team can really focus on the things that make a HoloLens application amazing. You've got your scene understanding API, you've got the solver, your system keyboard, voice command. These are all things that make developing a mixed reality application really great on the Windows platform. And MRTK is sort of this no-brainer place to get started if you're developing for these platforms. So before we get into the other platform updates, I wanted to. So MRTK uses XRI under the hood, and by using XRI, the team is able to deliver really scalable interactions, and not really worry about some of the inner workings of how do they target particular devices, and how they manage some of the lower level APIs. This lets the team focus on how do they make the look and feel, how do they make everything feel really good on the HoloLens? How do they make these menus? How do they make these interactions feel really good to ensure that HoloLens developers have what they need to deliver great experiences. I did want to touch on a few things that are particularly important to the HoloLens ecosystem as far as Unity support goes. We have Air Foundation has upgraded its support for HMDs, so we have improved testing. We're going to cover more devices and features on head-mounted platforms. So you'll have that support kind of throughout the Unity stack. Mars 1.4, it's in the final stages of release right now, so this should release any day now. But Mars 1.4 will have meshing support. So this is going to work with HoloLens 2 as well as other meshing capable devices. And what it provides is mesh classification. So the mesh classification that you get off your device, the HoloLens can be used in the development workflow. So here we have a simulated environment inside the Unity editor, and we can see that we're able to use the mesh classification data to change the textures in the application. Something to note here, this is sort of a very kind of minimal kind of workflow. So you're seeing meshes that don't replicate what's actually on the device. These are meshes that are quote unquote, kind of idealized or perfect because they're in that synthetic environment inside your Unity project. So on device, it looks more like this. This is kind of more of the kind of mesh that you'll get off of a real device. But you can still see that we're getting that mesh classification data, and we're able to apply different textures. So we have improved workflows here to give you more capabilities. We also now with this release will provide better support for planes, plane tracking, and so on HoloLens. So kind of definitely something to look for if you're looking to improve your workflow. So why does all of this matter? I'm going to start by just going to some of the business application scenarios that you're going to want to consider. Imagine we've got a range of folks hopefully on the call working on automotive experiences, retail experiences, location-based experiences as well for media and entertainment, and so we want to make sure that we're considering all of these end use cases as we're developing our tools. So we've developed a set of samples internally. So what you'll see is experimental, unreleased type of content that our team uses to dog food to improve the quality of our stack for you all. First one here is a product configurator for automotive. And you can see, in a design review or kind of customer walkthrough scenario, we're designing for this scenario where we're walking around this vehicle, and we're going to want to have menus, we're going to want to have UI, we're going to want to have annotations in that scene that allow us to direct the attention of collaborators that are in our meeting, or a customer that we're walking through this particular product. Also super useful. All these features are also super useful if you're in a different heavy machine type environment or in an architecture type environment. The second example is for a retail showroom. So in this case, kind of we're going through a model home, and we have a set of retail. We have a set of products that we might want to show off in a home environment. So similarly, we're going to walk through this environment. We've got annotations, points of interest that we're going to want to talk to, and we're going to want to build UI for all these things. So Yeah, so at Unity, we believe the world is a better place with more creators in it, and we want to make it easier for you to develop for these sets of use cases and more. MRTK is a really powerful way to do that for Windows MR devices, um, and um, and yeah, we're entering this new era of contextual computing, and we want to make sure that we've got the tools and we've got the solutions there for you to so you're able to take advantage of this. So thank you. So I'm Phil. You can find me on Twitter as well. And for more information, visit unity.com/AR. And then for more for trial and email information, we've got MSFT support at unity3d.com. If you're looking for more information about Mars, Unity Pro, or any of our any of what you just saw. So yeah, awesome. So those slides went by a lot faster than I expected them to. But thank you. We've got time for Q&A, and I'm gonna ask and see if we can get Roxy and Chris back on screen, and Maddie, so who was able to also join us from our solutions engineering team, um, and answer any questions that you might have. So thanks everyone for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Phil. And yeah, I see that in the chat we've got some activity already. If there's any questions that anyone has about XRI, I'm the lead designer and Chris is actually the lead developer. It looks like Fernando is already working on a couple of MRTK apps. Would be interested to find out more about those, actually. This is a really good opportunity for me to do kind of like user research. Coming from UX perspective, it's really nice to be in touch with users like this. In fact, if anybody is working on any XRI apps, if you could list like what you're working on. Oh, and thanks. Yeah, I love these headphones too. Yeah, what apps you're working on, what platforms you're targeting, if you're currently using any frameworks, or if you're using XRI, that would be great to hear. And yeah, Fernando, I was in San Diego for a while too at Sony Electronics, actually. So Jase says this last app feels kind of like Microsoft Mesh. So I think that was referencing the social kind of annotation experience that Phil was showing. And yeah, the promise is very much the same. The idea that you can go into VR and evaluate your Unity project with remote team members and be able to add annotations, things like that. So that's something that hasn't been productized yet. So not sure if it will follow the exact same patterns as Mesh is establishing, but definitely plan to have really tight integration with Unity, so that the workflows from working in editor to being able to look at that project with remote users is really seamless.
So I see David is asking, are we planning to release the designer view and showroom as templates? The answer is yes, we are. So we're working on that. Don't have a timeline right now, but that's something to expect in the coming in the coming several months. So working on that, working to get that out there. We know that it's sometimes intimidating to get started and get up and running in Unity. So we want to make that easier with some great samples and templates, and that's an area of focus for us right now.
Yeah, and I can say that for the some of the earlier, more like simplified toy-like demos that you saw, those should be released by end of year on GitHub, actually. So what we have done so far, you can actually access the existing XRI examples using GitHub and very easily import those into your project using Package Manager. And then the video that you saw earlier with like the claw machine and other interactive components are something that should be on that same GitHub by the end of this year. And that'll make it really easy for you to import it into your project and then just have several prefabs that you can just drop into your work. So if you have something that's, assembly line simulation training. The claw machine demo could potentially have some 3D UI that you could cannibalize to be able to use for some of the components like tangible UI that you're using as part of your application. So yeah, the idea is that this would be really easy to get into your project and then just be able to either use those prefabs out of the box as part of your work, or be able to look into those prefabs and see the scripts and how it's working so that you can learn more about how XRI works.
And as Phil said earlier, the ones that were in the presentation, those are going to be coming out in the next few months. And that'll be like a good starting point for people to base their projects off of. And has some more advanced examples than as compared to like the current ones that are made available for XRI samples.
Cool. So Kishan asks, any plans for supporting WebGL with MRTK for Hololens 2? So I can answer that one as well. So WebGL broadly at Unity is getting an improvement to support as a 21.2. It'll have multi-threading support, so that's going to improve the performance of Unity on WebGL. As far as XR goes, don't have a timetable for that. I'm very aware that folks want to deploy to the web. So more to come on that. Kind of see what we do next year. But yeah, unfortunately, nothing we can say at this particular time. But we're very well aware of the number of folks who are trying to target the web, kind of as time goes on. I'm going to just quickly mention that I don't know in terms of the replacement for WebRTC. So with all these, come ask us in the forums. We are monitoring them, so always free to ask in the forums. So I don't actually know where we are on WebRTC. Does anybody else on the call know that? Nope. Yeah, so we can follow up on that. Yeah. What else we got?
Oh, it looks like there's a question. Are you working with the MRTK team to incorporate any features into Unity's core feature set? Chris, I think you could probably tackle that.
Yeah, we're working pretty closely with the MRTK team. We have like meetings with them every few weeks. And yeah, we've been working closely with them to kind of assist them with the changes that XRI is doing going forward. We just recently did like a large scale refactors to make it so you can support like multi-handed interactions and all that other stuff that like they've been asking for. So yeah, we work pretty closely with them. And yeah, we'll continue our partnership with them going forward. And yeah, we always appreciate working closely with them.
Yeah, and I think that it really demonstrates like the key benefit for using XRI in a project, and it's that XRI provides a lot of the like foundational low-level functionality for doing interactions spatially. So you can focus more on building out your high-level functionality, the logic of your application, the art. So basically building out a greater outcome because you don't have to worry about that low-level stuff.
Yeah, and users are able to target like pretty much either solution. Like you can create your own behaviors that are kind of like lower level, closer to XRI, and you can also like write behaviors that derive from the behaviors that are in MRTK, and either one is acceptable. And they just integrate and work with the same system.
Cool.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. So Kian asks, is there a Unity emulator for all the platforms shown? I know there's a HoloLens emulator. How about Magic Leap, etc.? Yeah, maybe Maddie or Roxy, do you want to take that one?
Oh yeah, I do know that there's a Magic Leap simulator. So it's packaged as part of Magic Leap's SDK. Maddie, have you had any opportunities to use the Magic Leap? I think it's called Zero Iteration.
No, I haven't, but that's just good information to know. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's actually. Oh, go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, no worries. So we've got Unity. We've got a device simulator that allows you to test UI in a variety of contexts. So that supports a range of devices, mostly touch-based devices for that one. As far as so HoloLens, I believe the Microsoft team distributes the HoloLens emulator. So for HoloLens emulation, what we'd also recommend is taking a look at Mars. So Mars allows you it gives you a simulation view. So you can have the real world kind of a stand-in for the real world inside your editor. That'll rapidly speed up your iteration time. So instead of having to take the time to build to your HoloLens and be on that physical site where your application is going to be experienced, you have the ability to emulate what the HoloLens experience might be like without leaving your desk. So being right there in the editor, we have a bunch of built-in simulation environments, and you can bring your own so that you can start to preview what that HoloLens application might be like kind of directly in the editor. So yeah, so take a look at Mars if you're kind of interested in kind of emulating the scene, and then the device simulator if you're particularly interested in UI type emulation. Let's see what else we got here.
I see a question about visual scripting. So visual scripting is something that's on our roadmap. It's something that we do think that is really valuable. I know for myself personally, I've been an interaction prototyper for a long time, and visual scripting is really useful for me because it provides a visual expression or framework for coding. And while I do C# scripting a lot now, I really would appreciate having that interface. So that's something where if you do want visual scripting as a feature, we actually have a product board where you can go and vote on features for XRI, for example. And I can drop the link in the chat so that everyone can visit and upvote the features that you're looking for. And the more requested it is, of course, the more that it boosts it in our product roadmap. And, I really appreciate user feedback. So that would be great. Actually, if there's any other reasons that you're looking to use visual scripting or any features that you're looking to access specifically, that's also really useful feedback too. It helps us prioritize the order in which we implement those features to be accessible using visual scripting in Unity.
Awesome to see some of the cool things that folks are doing too. So Fernando says that they're working on apps for training and manufacturing environments, for service support and knowledge sharing. That's awesome. I'm sure I'm sure that any of the folks on this call would be, you want to share more about that. I'm sure folks would be interested in what you're doing. Phil also says that they're creating a HoloLens 2 app that delivers technical documentation for technicians using voice and gaze for controlling content while keeping their hands free to do whatever is required. So that's an awesome way to kind of use MRTK, and that's not something that Unity as a platform hasn't really gotten to. Voice and gaze interactions is something that's part of our core platform. So MRTK is a great solution for doing exactly that sort of thing. So so that's awesome. Is Unity's, so Ross asks, is Unity's LTS 2020 OpenXR ready for Steam build deployment? So we don't, so Unity doesn't officially support Steam. I think that question, we'll have to refer you over to their website. But the idea with OpenXR is to be able to target one interface and have your application in theory kind of work across a range of device types that we're unaware of at the time of development. We still recommend for any device that you want to target that if you know about it, you still want to test and verify to make sure that it works. But by using OpenXR and the Unity OpenXR plugin, the promise here is that we'll take a lot of work off your plate to make it a lot easier for you to target a range of devices. But yeah, unfortunately can't speak directly to Steam here today.
I see a question about JavaScript. Maybe Chris, would you be able to answer that?
No, there's no JavaScript scripting right now. But yeah, you can use a C# to do all the scripting with MRTK or XRI.
Okay, and I see another question from Roland. Does XRI allow for mixing of physics-based interaction and gesture-based interaction? So it is possible for you to do physics-based interaction using XRI. For gestures, that's something that you know, if you are using a third-party tool for hand tracking, you can use the hand tracking data to be able to program your own gestures. So I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be possible for you to be able to do both in the same application.
And we have plans going forward to make it more integrated to be able to do like custom gesture interactions. So like when you're doing hand tracking, you can like have it like match some kind of pose and have that like trigger something else. So that's you know, coming down in the future. But yeah, like that's there's nothing like in XRI that's like currently limiting that kind of solution if the developer wants to implement that themselves.
Yeah, in fact, I'd be curious to know for people who are working on hand tracking applications or more natural hand interaction, what features you would be interested in having implemented, whether you would route that through the input system or kind of like roll your own encode. So any information like that is also super useful to us. And I see that the product board link has been posted in chat. So that's another great place for you to be able to, you know, upvote, add your own suggestions. And then also there's a comment section for you to be able to detail kind of your use case and give us some feedback.
Awesome. Yeah, so I think while we're looking for other questions to answer, maybe kind of a question for Maddie and Chris. You know, when folks are creating their applications, it's still somewhat early days. So do you have any kind of general you know, tips, tricks for kind of optimizing performance, you know, and optimizing look and feel, you know, for when our developers are designing interactions?
Yeah, I would recommend to do profiling early and often. A lot of times it's easier to do that as you're developing it versus, you know, trying to do it late in the stage and trying to figure out like, you know, why you're not meeting your performance targets. So I recommend doing that early. And with XRI, there's also the ability to kind of separate out like doing like general updates within the frame. There's like kind of two different phases where you would want to do some like the general input processing like as late as possible. So that way like you have like the least amount of latency when you're doing stuff. So like you can do like general gameplay logic and like your normal update calls. And then you can do like some, you know, as little as possible though, but as late in the frame as possible in like the before render phase. So you can have that so you can get like very responsive interactivity. So like when you pick up something, you can have it so like it'll like track the hand controllers as current as possible. So knowing like when and where to put like some of your logic in like one of those two phases is important too. But yeah, like we'll have some examples in the templates that was in the presentation earlier that Phil showed off, and that has like some examples of using those different types of phases of when you're wanting to like move objects around. But yeah, so we'll have like other guys available too for like you know, optimizing for performance for you know, VR and AR applications.
So HBO Dazing asks, you know, one of the main challenges we found with HoloLens 2 development was the time taken to do full builds. This was an issue when iterating functionality that couldn't be tested using holographic remoting. Any plans to reduce build times? So something that so especially over the past couple of years, we one area, a huge area of focus for Unity has been reducing build times. We've kind of known that has gotten that that has moved in the wrong direction for a little while on Unity, and so there's been a big focus to improve iteration times and core asset build times. There are limitations to how much that can be optimized on our current architecture. So there are a couple things that we have in the works. So keep watching this space in terms of what's coming with dots in terms of actually getting down to really short small build times. More work is being done in the area. So in the meantime, remoting is a potential area that we get asked about a lot. We're figuring out our solutions there. Nothing to announce at this time, but it is something that we're actively working on. I think there is holographic remoting as well. I think just rooted by Microsoft. And instead, what we recommend for now is to use that simulation environment, which we're hoping to make more available. So that I'm referring to the Mars simulation features to reduce the number of times that you have to kick off a build, and that kind of will reduce your iteration time. Over time, we want to, that's something that we want to improve. We know kind of having that, having a really short iteration time, getting that onto your device really fast, and being able to see what your content looks like, allowing it to iterate super fast in your workflow is sort of where we want to get to. But it's going to take time. We've got a kind of a big we've got a large platform, lots of customers depending on us. So the changes that we make to the core Unity platform need to be thoughtful and considered. So it's something that we are aware of, and just keep watching to see how we take care of that problem. Anything to add? Yeah.
Oh, no, I was actually going to pick up on another question. So Simon asks, are you going to publish a roadmap for XRI improvements and future features? And that might be a part of our future, but I would also say that the product board or also the forums is a really great place to make your voice heard. And we actually really prioritize user feedback. Two-handed interaction is one major feature that we pushed hard for this release of XRI based on that user feedback. So either the forums or product board are a great place to see the activity for our developers. We're active on there routinely. And then also the product board has cards for each feature that we're looking at implementing in the future. So it's a place for you to make your voice heard, upvote features for our future roadmap, and then also give us detail about how you're implementing those features, what your exact user needs are. So much appreciated. The more engagement we get on those touch points, the better.
I'll add to that. So we're in the middle of planning our 22.2 release. So that is we're firming up our plans, and decisions are getting made. So in the coming weeks by the end of the year, we'll have some updates to the public roadmap as well on XRI and other Unity XR platform features. So more to come there. So watch that space. Around the end of the year, you'll see an updated public roadmap as well. So more to come.
Cool. And there was a question actually a little while back in chat that I really want to make sure to highlight because it's something that I'm personally really passionate about. And Esther asks, I'm new and interested in learning all of this from scratch. So beginner users is like a user profile that I am very enthusiastic about. We all have to start somewhere. And I'm going to drop this link in chat, but there is an instructional design team here at Unity that produces amazing lessons on the Learn channel. So we have an entire site called learn.unity.com, and there's a VR tutorial that uses XRI that I'll drop the link to right now. And it's an amazing course. It's really approachable, especially for beginner users. And at the end of the project, you'll have a scene with all sorts of different interactable objects that it leads you step by step through creating. So really highly recommend it. I'll drop the link now. So yeah, also the Learn site actually has tons of great tutorials. There's more for VR, but that one in particular is one that came to mind. It was one that was more recently produced, so everything's up to date, and it's also extremely approachable for a new user.
Awesome. So so Simon asks, is it a requirement to use a new Unity input system with XRI, or can the existing legacy input system still be used? Chris, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, you can still use the legacy system at the moment. We have plans on eventually deprecating that and replacing it, so XRI will just only use the input system. But like developers are also able to modify like the point of the system where it actually like reads from the input to like read from somewhere else if you don't want to use input system. But we would recommend developers would use the input system to do like their input abstraction. So yeah, like it's currently still possible, but we're recommending users go towards using the new input system. And already at the moment, like using the new input system with XRI like provides like additional functionality such as like the XR device simulator, which only works if you're using the new input system. So yeah, we recommend developers use that.
Yeah, I'll add to that. So with the OpenXR, one of the goals of the OpenXR spec is to more or less future-proof your content. So it'll work on new device types and a variety of device types. So as part of that, OpenXR V2, we're going to. So if you're getting started today, long story short, if you're getting started today, we recommend that you use the new input system. Because we'll be able to have better control and manage the setup of input with future device types. So we know that that's probably less. There are some things that we want to improve about that workflow before we really force everyone onto that workflow. So we're in the middle of planning workflow improvements to go along with that deprecation that Chris just talked about. So we know that there's a little bit of a kind of that's going to right now that means a little bit you need to know a little bit more about how to configure OpenXR and use the new input system. It's a bit more. You have a lot more options is a way to describe it, but that does mean that it's not as simple to use. And so we have some UX improvements that are underway to make that a little bit better. So by the time we end the 2022 cycle, yes, we're gonna want everyone to use the new input system, but we're also gonna we're gonna have some UX improvements as well to make it easier for creators to use that new way of designing input. So yeah, hopefully that helps.
Okay, I see a question. Is there any effort on accessibility? And that one, I'd love to actually hear more, because accessibility can mean a lot of different things to different people. One thing that actually I don't think frequently comes up that is something that's really core to Unity's values is accessible to people across socioeconomic strata. So we really want to democratize game development. We want to make it accessible to everyone, and we want the end product of that development to be accessible to everyone. So it's something that's why we make our products free and accessible to everyone. So that's something that's really important to us. And then what I think you're probably talking about is accessible to people with disabilities. And I can say there's two areas that I think are really like fundamentally related to this. The first one is our involvement with OpenXR. So OpenXR has a feature called interaction profiles. And that's something where if you code an application for using a certain type of input in VR, that means that any type of device that's actually made for people who are mobility impaired or have difficulties using typical input devices would still be able to access and use that, because OpenXR can reroute those inputs into these new channels. So that's one area that, because we're very dedicated to implementing OpenXR, that makes it more accessible, the end result. And then, and then for vision impaired or blind users, we're also working to make sure that third-party screen readers are also usable with our AR content, so that developers can use these in conjunction with each other to make their applications more accessible.
Jeff asks, can you guys speak a bit more about the process that has to happen for a new headset to be supported by Unity? Is the goal any headset that can be released that's Unity that is OpenXR conformant, and Unity should be set? So yeah, couple answers to that. So OpenXR allows us to reach and support many more devices more easily. So there are two different components to that. One, I would say we have our XR SDK plugin as well. So that's something to be aware of. So if you have custom hardware that you want to integrate into the Unity ecosystem, go take a look at that and see if you can kind of get that supported. Otherwise, I'd say come talk to Unity and we can kind of help you figure that out. Awesome. So there's also a question from Simon Jackson on networking. So how compatible is the XRI system with Unity's new networking system, Netcode for GameObjects, or is it expected to have to write custom code to support it? So maybe Chris or Maddie maybe can help with this one. I believe that these things should be compatible. The goal with Netcode or for GameObjects is that you're able to use Unity as it exists today and have networking supported. So there shouldn't be any collision, but I haven't particularly checked myself. Chris, do you want to?
Yeah, there shouldn't be any kind of collision with being prevented from doing networking support. There is, it is a challenging issue. So you're probably going to run into some challenges and difficulty with that. But yes, like XRI should be able to support being able to be tied into an input system, or a networking system. And yeah, like in some of the examples that we showed before, yeah, we were using networking with XRI to, as like everyone was in the scene doing like that design review sort of stuff. So yes, it is very possible.
Awesome.
And I do see some activity in the chat talking about using hand gestures to trigger interactions. So Fernando says, I mean using sign gestures to execute actions with hand tracking. And this is something that, I think is really relevant to the OpenXR discussion. And because OpenXR is open source open, it means that you can actually participate in a lot of the discussions that are happening around like new interaction profiles, for example. So I'll drop a link to a thread that's currently ongoing, and you do have to sign up to be part of the Kronos group. But basically, this is giving you an opportunity to say, these are the hand gestures that I would like to be part of a hand interaction profile. Currently, there are things like pinch gestures or grab gestures that are supported in this current proposal. But if you are actively involved in those threads, you can actually shape the specifications for OpenXR or for these interaction profiles. So I'll drop a link to that directly too, because it seems relevant to Fernando's interests.
Mark asked a question that, how does MRTK version 3 relate to the Unity XR interaction toolkit? What are the types of functionality that MRTK adds that are not in XRI? So the first part, they're currently rewriting a lot of their behaviors to be able to tie into the XRI system. So they're changing it so like they derive like from our classes instead, being able to make it so it's totally generic towards any kind of input device, and using like the Unity input system to actually like read from those input devices. So they're currently like rewriting a lot of their behaviors to inherit from those, or using like the upcoming like interfaces that XRI are going to have to make it so they can just like directly adapt existing behaviors to make it work with the typical like update loop that XRI has. So some of like the additional types of functionality that MRTK adds that are not in XRI like are things like voice recognition. So you can say like actually have like a user say select as you're looking at something, and like the gaze detection will be able to see like, okay, you're looking at this object, and you've recognized that you said like some kind of voice command to activate something, and then that can like feed into the normal XRI loop to make it so you can actually like activate a button remotely that you're just looking at if you don't want to make it so you can just like tap the button. So they also have like other like high level UX functionality, like different solvers to be able to move like role space canvases around, and like the how like those objects like pin to different surfaces. So MRTK provides a lot of like those like kind of spatial design elements to be able to like move stuff around in like a customized way.
Awesome. Cool. So I think thanks for the help, Roxy and Chris and Maddie. I think we've got glad we're able to answer a bunch of questions today. So in the chat, there's also, if you have a few moments, just fill out the reactor survey. The folks here will, our hosts at Microsoft will appreciate the feedback. Link in the chat if you have any feedback about this talk. I guess I can pass it over to the Microsoft folks to close this out.
Thank you, Phil and Chris, Roxy, and Maddie. It was great. The presentation was awesome. We got through so many of the questions, which is always great when we can get those answered. If you had a question that didn't get answered, or if in an hour or 2 hours or whenever you think of another question that you have, I am going to share a link in the chat right now to the MR forum where you can go and ask questions, and folks will follow up with you there. So if you do have any questions, or Phil, I believe you had an email maybe towards the beginning. I don't know if we want to show that slide again and some places where people could reach out to the team.
Sure. Oops. There it is. Yep.
All right, wonderful. Well, thank you everyone again for attending today. As Phil mentioned, there's also a link to the survey in the chat. If you do have a few minutes, we would greatly appreciate your feedback, and we hope we can see you all here again soon.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everyone.
Have a great one.
Bye.